Hello, and welcome to Creative Curves, where we talk with creative individuals in various fields about their creative process. I'm your host, Blue Sirens. On today's episode, we meet with Anne of Fuku Designs. Anne was born and raised in Japan. Her mother is Japanese and her father is Indian. She grew up in a military family and went to a Department of Defense school on a Marine Corps base in Japan. She was fortunate to have a dual life, being raised in Japanese culture and have an American life on base. She graduated from the Air Force Academy in 2017 and is currently on active duty. Anne started Fuku Designs in 2020 and has been working on designs ever since. She started Fuku Designs to create designs that people could relate to. The word fuku can mean clothes, but it also means happiness and good fortune. She hopes people can find comfort and humor in her designs and relate to them. It has been a challenging but exciting journey, and Anne will continue to create more for people. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for being here with me. It's great to have you on the podcast. We heard a little bit about you in the intro, but if you don't mind, introduce yourself a little bit and tell
Yeah.
us what you're working on creatively right now.
Okay. So I'm Anna Vasquez. My name is spelled Ann, but it's pronounced Anna because my dad forgot to change on our birth certificate. So, funny fun fact. Um, but yes, I am currently in the Air Force. I am instructing students at this point, missile operators right now. But my passion is to also do and work on Etsy. And right now I'm more focused on making totes at this time, but the designs about Japan because I'm from Japan. I'm born and raised in Japan. My father was actually in the military, so Marine Corps, and met my mom in Japan, and then basically stayed in Japan. So that's how I was born, and raised in Japan. But yeah, I came to the States for college, and since then I've been here. So I've seen a lot of people love Japanese culture, their food, just the environment, the people, and everything like that. So when I was starting to design, that was my first inspiration, and I saw a lot of people liking it and starting to be attracted for the Japanese thing. So I was like, well, it's part of my culture. I love Japan, and so I wanted to share it. So. I'm working a lot on totes right now for it.
Yeah, but that's really cool motivation because there are a lot of things in the like kind of now United States culture that pulls a lot of things from Japan. Like there's a lot of people
Yeah.
that read manga and a lot of people that watch anime, and it all came from Japan. But that's a really great like motivation for you to like see that in the culture of like the United States. But say, some people sometimes want to say like, oh, that's not the culture that like I'm a part of, but
hmm
you have like a really kind heart and you're being open and be like, let me share what the culture is about and like tell people about that like through my designs. That's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So is there anything specifically that like inspired you to create the tote bags, or did you think of something else before?
So I was doing shirts first. And it all started like my husband was the one during COVID when, everybody was stuck at home. Yeah, it was sad. We were stuck at home the whole time and we didn't know what to do. And he's like, you have so much creativity. Like, why don't you start designing? And I was like, yeah, I love designing. So like, yeah, we should start. So I started doing that and it went to t-shirts first. And it was more like the inspiration then was like just day-to-day feelings. Like, we were feeling down at the time with COVID happening, but then work was catching up. So that moved into like I didn't like yeah, shirts saying some statement. It's like a statement shirt that hoping people can like buy and feel like, yeah, this is how I feel today and I'm wearing this. Or some of the shirt was like antisocial. Like and a lot of people bought that shirt because they're like, yeah, I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people, and I wanted to have this outfit. So it started from that, and then now like tote bags. I just the way the design goes on it is just so appealing to me. So like I just started to like it, and like I use a lot of tote bags as well. So I was like, now let's move on to this. It's just new projects. I'm just trying things out and see what can also look appealing to people too, and so they can feel good in it. So yeah, that's how I moved on to that. Yeah, definitely doing tote bags and then mugs also. But
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The tote bags are really cool because like I know a lot of people are really starting to use them a lot more and
Yeah.
like instead of a backpack or something else and they're sustainable. It's not like a paper bag.
Mm-hmm.
And in some states, like they've just gotten rid of plastic bags or they charge you for a
Yes.
bag. And so a lot of people I know are switching to totes or they have a favorite tote bag and it's probably your tote bag that's their favorite.
Yeah. Oh,
So
thanks.
um
It's true.
so you've gone from shirts to totes, and sounds like mugs is going to be something in the future. So
Yeah.
how do you stay inspired to create? Do you focus on like, oh, I'm going to try and find something that's going to inspire me, or do you have like a discipline of if I stay consistent on just trying to create, I know I'll find something I like, or
Yeah.
is it kind of a balance between both?
It's definitely a balance between both. I go back home once in a while to go back to Japan, and that's when I do get the most inspiration. Because I just love the season, Japan, just everything about it is just so calming. So it comes from a more of like the calming feeling inspires me, like about Japan. And then, I mean, there are times where I'm exhausted from work and I come home and I don't get inspired. I'm just sitting around on the computer, like, what do I do right now? But I'm so overwhelmed from the day or drained, like so tired that I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna give myself a break today. Like my mind's not creative today. And I just take a break, to be honest. And later, maybe a day or two after, some things pop up in my head that I feel identify with. And so that becomes an inspiration. So yeah, it's definitely a balance. There are days I don't get anything, and then there's days I do. So.
Yeah, and I've heard something similar, like a similar line from some of the other guests that have been on the
Hmm.
podcast where they're like, you're not always going to feel inspired, but
Hmm.
if you do have some sort of discipline where you're thinking about it more, or like you do something
Hmm.
that keeps you consistent, that when that inspiration strikes, you have that knowledge of, oh, okay, I know how I want to do this idea. I have the
Yeah.
skills on how I want to do the idea. I just needed the spark and I've been looking for it consistently. So now it's like, the best of kind of both worlds when that happens.
Yeah. And then to add on to that, like, because we both, my husband and I both work, but when we come home, he does his own project and I do my project here. We're working on it every day. And sometimes when I'm designing, I'll like put random things on the screen and then that becomes an inspiration. So it's definitely like it is a discipline thing for sure, like you're saying. And still, if I can't think of anything after putting all these ideas on the screen, then I'm just like, okay, my mind is just needs some te like rest right now.
Yeah.
So I just listen to it and I'm like, okay, I'll come back to it again tomorrow.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that self-awareness is like super important because there's definitely times where I know I've tried to create something and I've like forced it. And it's
Yeah.
like, I feel like I just wasted 4 hours because I
Yeah.
just forced something when I just needed to really like reflect and be like, am I able to do something that's going to improve a skill, or am I going to do something that is going to create something that I can come back to tomorrow and continue on? And
Yes,
if the answer is
agreed.
no, it's like, well, let's, take a break, go watch a movie, go on a walk,
Yeah.
something that doesn't have that creative part of your brain engaged so it can get a little bit of a break.
Yeah, and I think sometimes I think we all have this habit of feeling guilty if we don't, find the right design or oh, we didn't do it today or like I just didn't couldn't make it. Like I stopped doing that because I used to. I used to be like I didn't have a design today, like I failed at it or something. So I stopped telling myself that because I'm like as long as I keep moving forward, that's a win for me. Like as long as I'm not giving up, for me, I started to tell myself that so it's not like it's not gonna be like my passion isn't gonna become such a burden,
Yeah.
I didn't want it to change. So that was also a different mindset change that I had to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So across this journey of designing different things for the store that you've done on Etsy, what has been the biggest impact on you in your creative journey? Has it been someone that's helped you, or maybe something that's inspired you? What's been the biggest thing that
Yeah.
drove you to continue to create?
To be honest, it's probably my husband. Yeah. he's the one that, put that seed in my head is like, you can do this, you enjoy it. And when I started to like doing it, I was like, you're right. I like doing this. So I think he really was the one that pushed me to try it out. I just didn't think about it. Um, and I started it, but I had to learn how to get on Etsy and like learn how to put the design onto it. And you know how like the YouTubers and everyone's like, oh, how to do this in 1 week or like how to learn in 24. It's like such a lie. Like that was the biggest challenge that I learned. Like it's everything takes time
Yeah.
and there's so much to it. So sometimes I wish that that wasn't like the catcher to get people. It's like I really wanted this truth of like, it will take time, but if you're passionate about it, like I can keep doing it. So yeah, he definitely was the one push me and I've learned so much from it and it's been a good journey. Challenging up and down, but it's been a good journey.
Yeah. And you pointed something out there that is really important for everybody that's doing something creative is that one, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And two, though, that time seems like it's going to be a great investment when you have someone
Yeah.
that's supporting you through it. Uh,
Yeah.
because yeah, these YouTube videos that say, it only takes an hour to do this, but it's like
Yeah.
maybe for them because they've done it for so long,
Yeah.
but when it's so easy to get discouraged when you realize, wow, it's going to take, 2 weeks to do X, Y, and Z. And
Yes.
when you have someone that's like every single day saying, hey, you can still do this, just put 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there,
Mm-hmm.
it really makes a big difference and can help change that mindset to
Yeah,
keep you going.
I agree.
Well, as we're kind of getting towards the end of it, or the end of our interview, is there anything like a TV show or a song or a book that you've experienced lately that has inspired you that maybe you want to share with the
Yeah.
listeners?
So the title doesn't sound inspirational, but it's called I Drink Wine by Adele. And if you actually listen to the lyrics, she's really talking about like life in general, about, as a kid, we all thought about maybe how fun things were. It was more exciting at the time, or like, we're pure and naive, I think, as a child. With depending on people's experiences, I know people had different upbringings, but when you grow up and the world can sometimes seem so bitter or like it's hard. And so I think that inspired me because I'm definitely in the journey right now of learning how to be happy and like with the things I have. Like, work might be rough and for me sometimes it can be discouraging. I'm like, man, where am I gonna be in like 3 years? Am I gonna keep doing, this job? Or how many kids are we gonna have? Like, are we gonna be okay? Like all these worries because I think so far out. And then I had to really reel it back to be like, nope, I need to focus on the day to day. And I have so many grateful like things I'm should be grateful for. So I need to learn to be happy. So in the lyrics they'll say like I need to get over myself. And I have like trying to tell myself I need to get over myself. Like I need to appreciate the things that I have and just find joy in it, which I have when I can. But sometimes, life is hard, so you forget to remind yourself. So yeah, it's been that kind of journey. So I do love that song.
Yeah, and that's a great reminder
Yeah.
too, because it's so easy to think about how difficult something's going to be in the future and either
Mm-hmm.
either put it off or just stress about it when if we have the mindset that you're trying to have, we're like we just think about how good things are in the moment and remember, things can still be this good or even better if we
Yeah.
keep working and keep trying hard to have the life that we want. But
Yeah.
it's sometimes pretty easy to, think there's a big gap between where you are now and where you could be.
Yes, exactly.
But
I
that's not going to
agree.
be you because, you've got that song by Adele and, if you're
Yeah.
listening, it's helping you. So maybe take a listen and it will help you as a listener as well. Uh,
Yeah, I hope so.
yeah. But where can we find you? Where can we find you on Etsy, on social media if we want to keep up with your designs?
Yeah, so Fuku Designs 2023. Sorry, Fuku Designs. I made it in 2023, but Fuku Designs on Instagram. Or I also have my personal account, and Mariko on Instagram. You can also find me there, and it'll lead you to my Etsy store as well as my Pinterest store. So that's where you guys can find me.
Awesome. Make sure you go check out all those stores, get a tote bag, a shirt, and it sounds like mugs are going to be coming soon.
Yes, it is there. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Creative Curves podcast. I hope you've been inspired by this episode to try something new in your own creative process. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Blue Sirens Music for weekly episodes. You can also check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thanks for listening.